right, so how'd you do? What'd you think of those tooltips? I'm taking a look at file 05_05, which comes from the exercise files folder. Just copy that HTML into your Bootstrap folder and pull it up here in the browser. And this is my solution. So down here at the bottom of the page, we have all of our read more buttons. As you roll your mouse over these, you'll see a little tooltip that comes up. It's not terribly helpful, I don't think. In terms of user experience, I'm not sure that these tooltips do a lot, but hey, we've got tooltips on this page, and you can at least see how they work. So how exactly did I manage to get this to work? Well, that's over in our HTML. And if you scroll on down the page here, on down to the bottom, say around line 74, this is the line of code that's calling for the read more button. And you'll see that I've added two things here to make this tooltip happen. One is the data-toggle equals tooltip. Remember, data-anything has to do with JavaScript, so we've bound the JavaScript here to this link, and that's going to make the tooltip magic happen. And I've also added a title attribute. Now, the title attribute is something that's an HTML standard. You can add a title attribute to pretty much any HTML tag at all. And in Firefox, at least, when you roll your mouse over something, it'll come up as a little browser-driven tooltip. But what Bootstrap is doing is adding some styling to that browser-driven tooltip to make it look really pretty. So as you see here, the title of that is Read More About Vaccines. So that's where that text is coming from. If you just do this much, though, and you try putting this in your browser, you're going to see, especially if you're using Firefox, you're just going to see little bits of the words, but they're not going to be styled with the little black bubble the way that you saw in the example. The trick to getting all of that work is further down the page here, down here in the script portion of this. So I've added a call to JavaScript. What you have to do with these tooltips is you have to initialize them. And the reason why is you don't want JavaScript spending all its time listening to every single HTML element in your web page, just in case anyone ever happened to roll their mouse over it, and in case there ever happened to be a tooltip associated with it. It just takes up a lot of processing power and makes your page run slow and all kinds of other things. So it's a good practice to tell JavaScript that there's tooltips associated with certain elements on your page, but not every element on your page. And then, of course, you have to tell JavaScript which elements those are. Well, it happens to be that those buttons all have something in common. And the A tag in each of those has the same classes, one of which is btn-info. So I chose as my selector here a.button-info. So in other words, an A tag with a class of button-info .tooltip. This is what initializes the JavaScript. So anytime the mouse is going to roll over one of those links that happens to have a class of button-info, the tooltip JavaScript is going to run and see if there is a need to display a tooltip for that particular item. So that's how this is all set up and how it's working together to make the magic happen. So I hope that you got tooltips working on your page. Maybe you tried a few experiments with some of the other attributes associated with tooltips. It's a pretty handy little feature that you might find useful on your next website.